Hello everyone, Zenro Gaming coming at y'all with another video, and in today's video we are doing another Demonslayer deck profile video. And this one we're going to be talking about the Hashiras. This deck got a lot of support actually, and I'm very happy and excited for a couple of people I know who love to play this deck. And let's get right into the deck profile. We're going to touch up on the older cards a little bit first, just to kind of run the count that I'm running in the deck, and then go over some of the new stuff I think touches it up, right? Because a lot of these updated deck profiles, I don't really need to go over every card as much. If you guys already know what they do, I'll be sure to, post pictures and stuff of everything as well. But getting into it, 4 of the old Michiru Tokito, he is so cool. This card is so good. I think still being at a 4 of this card is really important, because that win sideline effect to switch something to resting is really powerful in this current metagame. Without aggro, the format is him being able to come down and switch something to resting, and it stays resting. That's already one body tap down, and then when he blocks, you can switch another thing to resting, which is essentially, 2 bodies right there that he's taking care of for 1 turn. But with the new package in this deck, you can restand this Tokito now, the turn you play him, right? So there's going to be a lot of turns where you do just end up getting the Tokito down. You're able to really put in a lot of work with him, because then he can just really devastate your opponent's board. They're going to have to block him if they don't want to lose a life or just trade a body. And then he just taps things down and keeps them tapped down, and then taps another thing down if you're on the defensive. Overall, a great card. I think he still needs to be at a 4 of, because he is just so powerful. With that being said, we are also still running 4 of the Mitsuru Miss Conroji here. She just says, when played, if you have a combined total of 3, 2, 5 Ubuyashiki or Hashira cards, choose it 1 carry with 3,000 less BP on your opponent's front line and sideline it. But if you have 6 or more, you just get to pop a 4k BP instead, which is really important. This is another kill spell for this deck. Being able to play her down to pop a body is really strong, and then you can stand her up too, so then she's going to be able to swing, and we'll get into those cards that let you stand them back up. But those are going to be the 2 4-drops from the older set that I think we do need to run. Touching on a couple of the other older ones too, I think that 2 of this Guillaume is even more important now than it used to be. When played, this character cannot be sidelined by the abilities on your opponent's character or event cards until the start of your next turn. So he has protection on this body, and he's a nullify impact, which is really important, because now your opponent can't, if you have 1 life and your opponent has 1 instance of impact, this guy comes in really clutch. Obviously, I keep bringing up the Kenshin deck, but it does have impact. So it is very important that you have this character down that they can't sideline, and then you can block with this Guillaume, this Giyu, which is going to be so strong and nullifying, impacting on that body. Really good character. Active trigger in life, so only running 2 of this one. You do want to see it when you need it. You definitely want to save this guy for whenever they do have the impact down. And like I said, with all these cards, you can stand these characters back up. All right. Touching on some more of the older cards that we're running, I think that the double blocker Rengoku is too important to not run in this deck. If you have 3 or more Ubuyashiki or Hashiras on the field, he just gets double block at 4,000 BP body. That is really strong. He's an active trigger in life as well, so that's why we're only running him added to a 4 energy, 4,000 BP. And you can see we run so many 4,000 BP bodies in this deck. Continuing down the line, we are running one of the Kocho here. Activate main up on the front line. Once per turn, choose up 1 character 1,500 more PP on opponent's front lines that lose 1,000. I still think that this one added 2 of as well is important enough, because while she's not a 4k body, this effect is really important for you to be able to get over 5k bodies, which this deck can struggle with in a lot, since we don't run any of the higher ends in the deck anymore. I think just running a ton of 4 drops that are 3,000 to 4,000 BP, and she is just really strong. Just once per turn, being able to do that effect over and over again makes it where your Hashiras can swing in actively and get a bunch in. So 2 of her. Also, now, going through down, that is all the 4 drops, right? You really want to do on that. Sorry about that. We got 1 more. This is the new Giyu Tomiyoko, and he is 4 energy, 2 action points. So I know that is, 10 different double action point cards in the deck that you're going to be running, but this guy really doesn't count as a double action point card for the most part, because he says, if you have a combined total of 3 or more Ubuyashikis or Hashira cards on your field, you reduce the AP cost by 1 while in your hand, right? Which is really good. to combo in this deck because we can then restand our 2 double action point cards. He still counts as a double action point while on the field, but in your hand, when you have 3, he just costs you 1, and you can restand him. He's a draw trigger in life too, so that's why we're running it at a 2-of because it is really important. I thought about trying to make this one the main one, but you do want some versatility with this deck with the other double blocker, the reduced BP body, and then just the nullify impact. So this deck has always been a toolboxy deck. He also just says when attacking, if you have 6 or more of those particular archetypes, choose up to 1 other Hashira Fini card in your field, and it gains 1500 BP until the end of the turn. So another way for you to get around these pesky 5k bodies that your opponent may be able to put on the board with you, which is what this deck, I think, kind of struggled with beforehand, is trying to actively get over those bodies. And now we have plenty of ways in this deck to get around the 5k bodies, and I think that this lineup of, 4-drop 4ks in the deck are all really powerful, really impactful. But let's get into what is going to make us be able to, use these things. We do have a new Tokito here from the new set, 3 energy, 1 action point, 3500 BP, which does come up that he's 35 because, we can reduce people down to be down at our 3500 if they're 5k. But he just says activate mana from the front line once per turn. Choose 1 card on your field with 2 AP costs and Hashira affinity, and it gains impact +1 for the end of the turn. So this is going to be a great way for you to be able to make sure your other 4K bodies are going to swing in and get the checks. Having a character that just lets you do this every turn, once per turn, is really powerful because now your opponent is going to have to waste a kill spell on this card instead of the cards that are actually 4K, right? Because this Tokito alone is making sure that your 4Ks are able to swing in and have the impact, and that is so important in this deck. It is really, really welcome to see a card like this. Now, I wanted to add a 4-of, but I don't think there's room for it. I think 3-of is enough because you really only want to see 1 each game, right? Because he does have to be on your front line, which is a little downside to it, but combined with, the Giyus or the Kochos, you can really put in a lot of work to still get his swings in, and I think that at a 4-of, you really just want to see 1 or 2 of these a game. But one of the new cards we are definitely running out of 4-of is this Kocho here. I love the art on this card, and it is really, really powerful. She's a get trigger, 3 energy, 2500 BP, and she is a double energy generator, which this deck really, really needed a double energy generator that has a trigger. We are also running another card that's a double energy generator, a couple other, but she's the main one now because you just want to play her early in the game. She has steps, so you can put her on the front line to maybe get some early blocks in if your opponent's trying to rush you down with some lower cost characters. And she also just has the step to be able to go back and forth between the game to constantly fix your energy line. And she says when she's sidelined, if this character has been sidelined, do it to its BP becoming 0 or less, or by an ability, you draw a card, which is crazy. If your opponent kills this card in any way whatsoever by sideline it or just by reducing its BP, you just get to draw a card. So it really makes your opponent not want to be able to kill her. And if they do draw a card. You're not, almost never is that going to come up. They're not going to waste a kill spell on her. But if they ever did, then now you're going to get some value off of it, which is really, really important. I think her out of 4-of, she is the new best double energy generator for the deck because she has such good effects. So much going on with the card. But let's touch on one of our other double energy generators, and it's going to be the 2 of the old Tengen Uzui. You still do want another double energy generator that you can kind of move up on the front line. He is a little bit better in the sense that he is 3000 BP. He also has step in the same sense as the Kocho, but he's a draw trigger and she's a get trigger. So she can make sure that you're going to find her. He is just a draw, which you do want to see sometimes, but the fact that he also has step is really good. I think if you want to do like 3-3 split between these two, I just really like the Kocho a lot more with the get trigger, being able to make sure you find it in your hand. Because if you do these Uzuis in life, you're not going to see the double energy generator. She just helps make sure that you're able to see it more often throughout the game. Now, we do have another new card in the deck, and it is another Miss Conroji. This one is a 2 energy, 1 action point, 3000 BP. You can see a lot of our characters have strong BP, and she is a draw trigger in life. She does generate you 1 energy, and she just says activate main if on the front line. You place 1 card from your hand into the sideline. Once per turn, choose 1 card on your field with 2 AP costs and Hashira affinity and switch it to active. Now, this is definitely one of the most important cards in the deck. If you wanted to find a way to put her at a 4-of, I could definitely see that. You only really want to see her once a game, and I think that to be able to put more copies of her in, it would make the deck a little bit more bricky. But if you wanted to go down maybe on the Tokito down a little bit, and maybe one of the other double cost cards you could. But I think one is fine. We'll have to do some testing. I'll have to talk to my buddy who plays this deck a lot too and see where the sweet spot is for this Kanroji, because the Kanroji and the Tokito are definitely two of the cards that make the deck way more powerful, but you do still have to kind of run an engine of these double energy generators. You want to run enough names of bodies to curve out, and I do think that if there's one thing in my list here that I feel a little uncomfortable about, is her only being at a 2 of, but I did want to find some space for the next card we're going to talk about because he is so important, which is this double energy generator Tokito. He only costs 2 energy and 1 action point. Now, he doesn't have a trigger, but this guy helps you curve out your energy, because if you have a combined total of 3 or more of your affinities on the field, he generates an extra energy, which, you know, surprise, it's easy to do, right? He costs 2 energy, so you're going to have 1 or 2 of your 0 drops already, and then once he comes down, now he is already making that double energy. He doesn't have to be active or anything. As soon as you play it and you're at 3, then you're able to generate the energy, right? And it didn't say other, it just says 3 or more other. So yeah, you do have to have the extra one out there, but regardless, this card is too important not to run a couple copies of, and I do like this card a lot. But, man, I do want to find a way to fit for this Kanroji, because I think she is so important for you to be able to see this card. You want to see it every single game, and you want to be able to use this once per turn to trash a card to be able to bring out your double action points onto the field. But like I said, this is a test deck profile for it, but I do think that this card is really important, and so is the Tokito. Only one of the Obanai. I like this card a lot, and like I said, I'm just trying to curve out. You want to run so many 3 and 4 cost units in this deck that it makes it hard to pick the 1 and 2 costs that you want to run, because you just want to be able to keep throwing down 4 costs, 4 costs, 4 costs, 4 costs, 4 costs over and over again, and just outbuy your opponent. Now, the only person that you need to be at 5 energy for is the Tokito, and I think that's why we can be so low on some of the double energy generators at the moment. But this Obanai is just when played, draw 1, trash 1, and it's an active trigger in life. It's just an easy 2 drop that you can put on the front line that's 3000 BP, because in a lot of instances you are going to want to do that with him and the Kanroji just to give you a little pace in the game. But this could easily just be another copy of Kanroji. Now, we do have another new card in this deck, and this is the one that I'm running at a 3 of as well, because it is so important. He just says, activate main switch to resting, place 1 card from your hand to the sideline. Sideline this character, choose up to 1 of your action point cards and switch it to active. This is like another final trigger in the deck. You just switch him, sideline, trash a card, get another active action point, which will help you be able to throw down multiple copies of your double action point cards, and this is another essential new card in the deck. This deck is so important. You definitely have to run this card, but this is the new one. That one's the old one. This is the new one. This one just says activate main switch to resting sideline card. Choose 1 Hashira affinity card on your field and switch it to active. 3 of this guy, 3 of this one here. With this particular Ubo-Yashiki in the Kanroji, now you have 5 different ways to restain your double action point cards, which is why I'm down on 2 of the Kanroji, because you're definitely going to see some of the 0 drop, hopefully. And to round out the deck, just 2 copies each of the Obanai 0 drop, which is just a draw trigger in life, and then the Miss Kanroji does not have a trigger. But you don't care about that, because she is the aggro play. You play her down if you see her in your first hand, and now your opponent has to deal with a 4K body swing every turn. I can't tell you how many times I've had this card played against me and just felt so much pressure in the game, because just pay that action point to apply pressure to take a life. It's essentially what you're doing, right? You're paying 1 action point to either take a life or a body early in the game, which is really, really strong. And I didn't say it before, but both of these Ubo-Yashikis have trigger effects. This one has 3 draw triggers, and this one is 3 active triggers. So the deck has a ton of triggers in it. We're just missing out on the Kanroji here, and then the Tokito over here. Everything else does have a trigger, which makes this deck way more consistent, and I do believe that this is going to be a deck you definitely need to watch out for. Now, we obviously have 4 of our final triggers and 4 of our special triggers in the deck. You have to see these cards. And then I'm running 2 of the Hashira meeting. I think that this card allows you to be such a toolboxy deck, because you just get to look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal it to 1 card among them, and add it to your hand. It could be any card, right? You can add any card to your hand. Place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. If the card you revealed was a Hashira affinity card, you get your AP back. But this can grab you a special trigger. This is one of the best searchers in the game. If you gotta grab a Hashira card, it's just a free check as well. But that is a deck profile. I am super hyped for this deck. I have a lot of hope into it, and I think it's going to be a very powerful, control-y, mid-tier-ish kind of rogue deck. And I do think that it can sneak some tops, so you need to be on the lookout for this deck. It's going to be very, very powerful. And if you haven't played against this deck before, get ready for it, because a lot of people love the Hashiras. And I have always been a big believer in this deck. For sure, with one of my buddies always piloting it and doing very well. But let me know what y'all think down in the comments down below. Please leave the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Peace.